Hello, esports fans, and welcome here to this game of StarCraft that was found on reddit.com/r/castit. I will be your host today, Thaco, and we will see spawning here on this map of Neoplanet S in our upper right-hand position as our red Zerg player, it is DroneOfArc. His opponent spawning in the lower left-hand position as our blue Protoss player, it will be ManZ. Now ManZ and DroneOfArc are having a little conversation about the Muta versus the Phoenix. That's just an interesting one. The Phoenix is a great counter to the Mutalisk with that range, but against the Protoss player, if you can get that huge ball of Mutalisks, there's really not a whole lot you can do against it. So we shall see if that battle actually unfolds in this matchup. I'll be interested to see if they work that one out for us, as we are waiting to see what both these players start going for here on this map. Just ManZ getting that nice standard in-base gateway, not going for anything crazy like cannon rushes, and also not proxying anything out across the map, building his Stargate somewhere crazy, trying to go for that Oracle play. Still just going on about this Muta v Phoenix. DroneOfArc saying he doesn't Muta much, so we might not actually even see it coming. As we have DroneOfArc actually taking his hatchery down on the low ground before the spawning pool comes out, going for that nice economic opening. But this is a map where it's harder to play long economic games because the third bases are so exposed, but DroneOfArc just going for it here. Tossing down that third hatchery, going three bases before building a spawning pool. Going to be a crazy high econ game here for DroneOfArc. Just going to have a whole lot of larvae out onto the map very early. Not the most common of openers here on this map. But ManZ doesn't really have a whole lot he can do right now to pressure against it. And it will just... It's going to be an interesting game, especially if ManZ detects this early and starts getting a whole lot of units out onto the map. He is just going to do a lot of damage, even getting that mothership core. He might go for a little bit of early pressure here, as he hasn't expanded yet, but is banking up a lot of minerals. Looks like he is going down to toss down this expansion on the low at his base. Natural expansion. Got the drone working down there right now. This is the Zealot guarding the choke point. The Overlords have not gotten into the base to scout yet. It is just getting there now. It sees that his opponent's Protoss, but that's information he already knew. I don't believe he's seen the timing on the natural yet. He has not. And this Overlord coming across here will be his first full scout he gets on the base. I don't think ManZ has sent out any scouts yet. He does not know about this quick three base play that DroneOfArc is going for, so he does not know that there are no aggressive units for DroneOfArc on the map that he can punish with even just his mothership and his mothership core and his Zealot that he has right now. Even going for this wall off, just playing very defensively against this very greedy play of DroneOfArc. Both players kind of going for these blind openers right now, as DroneOfArc is just, well, I mean, getting a lot of drones, as his name would suggest. And now the mothership core of ManZ is starting to move out across the map, so he will, for the first time here, start to get the scouting information on his opponent. And the first lings of DroneOfArc are moving out to see what that wall off and just that opening choke point of ManZ looks like. And he will see the two gateways as well as the single Zealot and the forge. He will get the scouting information on that forge that's just going down now, so there is not any cannon potential. And the mothership core flies very aggressively right up into the main base of DroneOfArc. And that queen takes out the shields and puts some actual damage onto it. But there is no queen here at the third base, so it's going to get a couple free drone kills before that first queen here does pop out. And it looks like that's just an Overlord moving across the map. So there is no defense or help coming for these drones. They're just going to have to wait for that queen to pop out. And the queen is out, so now it will start attacking that mothership core and force it back, but it's already picked up 4 drone kills, and the queen does one-on-one beat the mothership core. The mothership core just recalls, goes home, and gets out safely. But the mothership core did see all 3 of those bases, and DroneOfArc is still just droning heavily, still does not have a whole lot of aggressive units out on the map. And ManZ is starting to get an Immortal out. He's got 3 gateways up. He can start going for some pressure here soon. Does he have Warp Gate finished? Warp Gate is indeed finished. I could have just looked at the Warp Gate right there and been able to see that. Okay. And he's even getting the Warp Prism. He's going to start doing some Warp Prism Immortal Micro, most likely, from this point. And just start harassing all of these bases of DroneOfArc and just try to finally going to start trying to punish his opponent for playing such a greedy opener in this matchup. As Metabolic Boost is just being started here at the 8-minute mark. These bases do have excellent saturation though, so his mineral income and gas income is going to start getting incredibly high, and he's going to be able to dedicate all of the additional larder from this point on to units, and can just start playing very aggressively with a very high econ army. It's going to be interesting to see how this does play out from this point, if DroneOfArc has not overextended his economy, and if he can hold off this what looks like it will be Zealot Immortal push from ManZ. Continuing to produce drones. Only 1 more in production, 24 Lings in production, getting that Baneling Nest on the way, as well as the Roach Warren, but that might be too little too late for this defense, as ManZ pushes out across the map with these Zealots, with the Mothership Core, and with the Warp Prism, with the Immortals in it. The Warp Prism with that new speed boost is so much faster than the Zealots though, and they will get, Zerglings get time warped by the Mothership Core, and they will all die off to those Zealots and that Immortal. Trying to pick off that Immortal though, because its shields are not incredibly effective against the Zerglings, but the Zerglings get picked off by the Zealots and then start pushing up towards this 3rd base of DroneOfArc. DroneOfArc trying to morph in 9 Banelings on the high ground, but the Zealots get in there and start hacking away at those Banelings. There are a couple Zerglings to distract them. They're actually going to go for the drones and just instantly spawn and detonate on those Zerglings, Zealots, sorry, taking out a lot of the shields on those Zealots, but not actually killing any of them. The drones are in full retreat from this 3rd base. Stalkers being morphed in here, as well as additional Zealots. And there is just not a lot of defense here for DroneOfArc, who is just abandoning this 3rd base, got a lot of mining off of it, and just leaves it alone. Morphing in Banelings here outside his natural expansion, getting 20 more Zerglings on the way. I believe the Roach Warren is done. Those Roaches would do excellently against those Zealots, but he's going to rely on the Zerglings and the Mutalisks. He's getting the Mutalisks. We heard them discussing those in the early game. Let's see if ManZ decides to counter with those Phoenix, or if he sticks on this Zealot Immortal push that is just doing so well, even getting the cancel on that upgrade out of the Evolution Chamber. A lot of Banelings rolling in though, getting good connections on those Zealots, taking out a lot of them, but there are just still so many Zealots left that just tear through those Zerglings. As the Mutalisks now pop in, they try to take out the Stalkers before they can get too much damage done. Additional Zealots, Zerglings flood down to try to take out those Zealots, but they are just torn apart. All the Stalkers have fallen. The Mutalisks have free reign on those Immortals, but there are just so many Zealots. They take down the natural hatchery. Drone with the G. There's a GG from both players, but no one's leaving. This hold is sticking. He's trying to kill off those Stalkers with these Mutalisks. A lot of Mutalisks have popped. He's killing off the last of this, and then the mass recall pulls out all of his forces except these 5 Zealots that will be killed by the Mutalisks. The Mutalisks were the key important element of that hold. He's now going to have to reestablish all of his bases though, taking his natural expansion, his 2nd base way down on the bottom right. ManZ's telling him, man, you're broke. You ain't have nothing left. DroneOfArc saying, I'm going to go for it. Why not? There's no point in not trying to win a game when you're already in it, especially when you have this many Mutalisks and your opponent does not have a high Stalker count, flying right down into the main base and killing off probes. Probes are what Protoss has. Trying to pick off the infrastructure. There are 2 pylons here, though, that will not unpower very many buildings. Don't want to get stuck out by those Stalkers. The Mutalisks then swoop down into the natural expansion. They're going to try to pick off the Mothership Core. They get the Mothership Core. They're going to continue to pick off Assimilators. That's an interesting choice, especially when there are all those juicy probes right there that you can kill off. But the Stalkers are now here to defend. There are Mutalisks getting picked off that were trying to come in to reinforce. The Mutalisks sweeping back down into the main base, going for the probes in the main base. They are going to get a couple more kills there. Those bounce shots doing nice damage as they clump up like that. Now they're getting spread across. They are trying to pick off a lot of targets. There are a lot more and more Stalkers coming out here for our Protoss player. Going to try to pick off the Immortals while the Stalkers are away. They might get one Immortal. It's at half health. All its shields are gone. It's so close. He might not be able to get it, though. It might fall so close. No, it pulls off with 4 health points left. That was the closest he could have gotten. He does have the second base reestablished down here in the middle right-hand position, getting his natural expansion reestablished. He's going to start trying to drone heavily again. Has a couple of Zerglings chilling in the middle of the map. But how many workers have been killed off by both sides? 25 to 26 workers have been killed off by both of our players. That is as close can be. The only thing that would make it closer if ManZ runs across and kills another drone right now, then that would be 26 to 26. That is just a crazy economic damage done by both these players. This base was important to get reestablished there as fast as he could, and he did get it. It looks like he is even trying to reestablish a 4th base. Not reestablish, establish for the first time a 4th base in the top middle portion of the base. These Mutalisks still swooping around, doing a lot of damage between these two worker lines. No cannons being established here because cannons would be too easy of an defense to use. That pylon's so close to dying off. So many probe kills here in the main base of ManZ. These Stalkers are finally getting too high, and they are forcing back the Mutalisk harass. It's now 39 workers killed off by DroneOfArc. That was the exact economic damage he needed to get done if he wanted to stay in this game. Both players playing a very low economy game. It's not, unfortunately, the very simple answer would have been to build cannons. They decided not to go for that. That allowed the Mutalisks to just do a lot of damage, or even Phoenixes. Phoenixes are a wonderful counter to the Mutalisk. The cannons have finally been established up here, and they pick off both of the starports. Unfortunately, there will be no Phoenixes today. The Phoenix can move and shoot, and especially with the upgrade from the Fleet Beacon, they have additional range. And now the Mutalisks even engaging with the Stalkers. I don't know if that was the wisest choice, because some of them are starting to fall here. All the shields are off those Stalkers, though, and he goes in, he gets the rest of the Stalkers, gets the sentries. The cannons are doing good damage to the Mutalisks, though. There are a lot of cannons being tossed down around this base. Neither player really at a clear advantage. DroneOfArc is getting that economy very well reestablished, though, droning heavily behind this heavy Mutalisk play. It's not even heavy Mutalisk, it's just very good Mutalisk micro, moving them around, making sure they're never really caught too far out of position, picking off Stalkers as he can. This is a lot of Stalkers. This is not the position he wants to be in, though. The starports have finally been established, and Phoenixes can finally start being produced, and there are not a lot of Mutalisks left on the map. But if DroneOfArc can get his opponent to build Phoenixes and then doesn't go for Mutalisk anymore, his opponent will unfortunately be stuck with a unit that doesn't really counter anything anymore. If he switches back into a Roach Baneling style play and tries to bust down the front door, he's even starting to establish his macro hatchery to get additional larvae. We'll be up to 5 bases worth of larvae here in a moment, getting that infestation pit so we can unlock the potential for infestors, swarm hosts, as well as the hive tech. We will see which one of those 3 things he decides to go for here, as that does finish up momentarily, getting those evolution chambers reestablished. I don't think he has any upgrades. No, he has one melee attack and 1 ground carapace upgrade for his Zerglings, to, I believe, just the exact same for his opponent. Yep, 1 ground weapon and 1 ground armor, as well as 1 shield. That will be an excellent upgrade for his air units. The Phoenixes are starting to whittle away at that Mutalisk force, and you can see that 3 Phoenixes are holding those Mutalisks back, which is just the power of those Phoenixes. But unfortunately, you do have to go for them when your opponent has Mutalisks. It's the best counter to them. A huge Zergling army being starting to flood into the middle of the map here. 44 more Zerglings in production, as well as the hive is now being morphed in. We'll see him able to get that level 3 upgrades after that hive is done, as well as once the level 2 upgrades are done. And pathogen glands coming in as well for those infestors. It's the upgrade that starts them off with additional energy, and I believe means that they have a fungal growth ready as soon as they spawn. Phoenix is coming here and see this huge Zergling pack here and start to pick off additional Mutalisks. The Mutalisk count is so low at this point, there won't be much more they can do. Phoenix is starting to pick off Overlords, trying to decrease that supply potential of his opponent, picking up a Queen. They will snipe that off. The Mutalisk trying to kill the Phoenixes while they are stuck in position. But this is a really high Phoenix count at this point, and that's the cue to the Zerglings. It's just time to go. Let's go kill off our opponent while he is busy producing Phoenixes and harassing our base. Does he have anything in his mineral lines to defend his workers? He does not. The first Spore Crawlers are now spawning. They should pick off this gets one Phoenix, and the Phoenixes then do pull back. The Zerglings do check here to see if there is a third base. Huge Zealot army here, but a lot of Banelings being morphed in here. 41 Banelings being morphed in, as well as the Ultralisk Cavern going down. That's going to be a big, big ground play from this point forward, and just absolutely negates the Phoenixes that his opponent built to this point. All they can do is pick up Zerglings. These are slow Zerglings, though. Centrifugal hooks. The Baneling speed upgrade was just started being researched, and the Zerglings are just going to move in here and detonate across all of those Zerglings, even possibly taking down the Immortal. Nope, they're going to pull back. They can't take out the remainder of this force, even though they might be able to if they just got the perfect connections. A third base being established here for our Protoss player. And those Phoenixes still just harassing, killing off a single Infestor. The second Infestor on very low health is going to make a... Oh, there's a lot more Infestors back here. They all make a run to that single Spore Crawler, hoping that it will keep them alive. The Queens get picked up and picked off. Additional Fungal Growths going down. Just going to try to chain Fungal Growth these Phoenixes to death. Unfortunately, he did not get all the Phoenixes, and an Infestor is picked up and picked off, and the rest move back to that Spore Crawler. Infested Terran going down, trying to do damage to these. That Adrenal Glands upgrade is in production, which is the 20% Zergling speed attack upgrade for the Zerglings, as well as Chitinous Plating, which is the +2 armor for the Ultralisk. We should see Ultralisk play come out here soon. So we have a very low supply count. Not very low supply for either of these players. They've been very aggressive this entire game. They are both sitting on pretty small banks for this point in the game too, especially considering how many mining bases our Zerg player has. He has 3 mining bases, mined out completely. No, not mined out completely in his main. Has one little mineral patch left that had 5 minerals left on it. So now mined out completely in his main base, trying to establish a base in the far upper left-hand corner of the map, as these Phoenixes continue to do great damage to the Queens that are trying to do these injects here at the natural base. And those Fungal Growths do take out a couple more Phoenixes. There are 2 Phoenix left on the map. The Zerglings start sweeping down in through the lower left-hand side. Now with the backing of those Ultralisks not fully upgraded yet, only at 2-2. Banelings are going to roll in and just kill off these Zealots as they morph in, and the Ultralisks will just start sweeping those massive claws across everything and killing everything here at the third. But the Colossi are on the way. They're going to move up there, and the Ultralisks are just going to smash into those Immortals, kill them off, try to get into combat with those Colossi, and the Colossi get flanked by Zerglings. The Colossi fleeing to the high ground. The Colossi can now just tear apart everything from that high ground. The third base has fallen. And ManZ just still cannot get over the power of those Mutalisks, even though his Phoenixes have done a lot of harassment. A lot of workers have been killed off this game, although 63 is a much higher number. That's true, there was not a whole lot of anti-air out of ManZ in this game. He just lost very early because he did that very heavy Immortal play instead of going for Stalkers and something like that that could kill it off. But the Ultralisk Zergling force is sitting here outside the natural expansion of ManZ, and the Colossi are going to get stuck hitting with the Zerglings already in combat with them as they move off of the high grounds. The Ultralisks are having trouble getting past those Zerglings to get into combat with everything. And all 3 of the Colossi fall almost instantaneously as those Ultralisks get into combat. Ultralisks are getting a little stuck up on this narrow choke point that they can't quite get through, so they will just hack and slash their way right through it. Kill off 2 gateways, get a couple pylons out of the way, and even going for that forge. This looks bleak for ManZ at this point. He's not mining out of any bases. Doesn't have anything in production. They are just going to talk about the power of the Phoenix and Mutalisk for a little while longer here, debating about what the best way to deal with it is. And everything is just falling here at the base here. This Phoenix Ultralisk debate, or Mutalisk debate, I've missed the start of it, so I don't quite know what's going on in it. They're debating Swarmhost play even there. It is true that this is a small map, and there are 3 close-knit bases for the Mutalisk to harass. I think Cannons and Phoenixes earlier on would have been the better bet for that defense, but he felt like he had won the game already because he did very good damage at that push, but in the end that was just an amazing hold out of DroneOfArc. Got everything he needed at almost the exact correct time. Those Mutalisks just saving him. And now he's just hacking and slashing and destroying everything that that ManZ has left, and ManZ is finally out of the game. It was a very well played game out of DroneOfArc, an excellent hold there against that Zealot Immortal push. Defended almost entirely with Zealots and Banelings until such time as his Mutalisks were able to come in and just abuse the lack of anti-air out of ManZ. A very greedy opener from DroneOfArc led him to have just the more superior endgame tactic there. It was well played. It was an exciting game. And I hope you will all join me for more games of StarCraft in the future. Thank you very much for watching.